So PWC Brackets, what's up? This is Dave from PWC Brackets. I got my buddy Gary over here. He's got suns out, guns out. Anyway, so we're gonna do the retainers on this thing. So we gotta do a few things first. You don't have to take the intake off, although we did. It makes it a little easier to get to. So remove all of the injectors, all of the intake, just like you're doing a putting your intercooler on or getting rid of the ribbon delete. Anyway, taking all these things off, removing everything. The main thing we're gonna have to get to is this. This is gonna be your chain tensioner. So we're gonna have to get to that in a little bit. We'll go over that when we do that. And we're gonna go ahead and break all these bolts free. Basically, this is a kit I sell, by the way. So we'll be back. So go ahead, get your intake off, get all the hoses, all your cords to the side. I'm not gonna show you how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, you probably shouldn't be doing this. We're gonna have to get to this. This is our cam tensioner, and we're gonna go ahead and get all this off and get it ready. All right, so what we did is we went ahead and removed this top piece right here. It's gonna make it easier for us to get down there to the coupler so we can turn the engine over. Removed all the spark plugs. We're gonna remove all the spark plugs. We got all the coils. We marked them in order that we wanted to bring them off. And now we're loosening the oil dipstick, which is gonna allow you to have more access to this tensioner. When we get to the tensioner, we're gonna tell you how to do that. It's pretty, there's a couple little steps you wanna make sure you're taking very good care of. Gary's also removed all of the bolts around the valve cover here. So we're just letting you know where we're at. So we removed everything. We're gonna remove this so we can get down there to the coupler, and we'll be back in just a little while. So this is where we're at. All right, so now we've got the valve cover gasket off. And just to give you an idea of what we're gonna do. So we've removed all of these bolts here. The valve cover gasket is in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and get our tools ready and start getting this thing apart. There's your chain. We'll be back. All right, so right now, we're gonna get it at top dead center. There's a couple things you need to know. These lobes here need to point outwards, okay? And there's gonna be a cam mark right there, it lines up with this. Cam mark right there, lines up with this. We're gonna do a measurement. He's about to do a measurement on the #1 piston to see where we're at. And then we're gonna go from there. We have all the spark plugs out, which makes it easier to turn the engine over. And sorry about all the wind noise, but it's hot in here. We got the fans. So hopefully you guys can hear this. All right, so we just wanna show you something real quick. So right now, we're getting top dead center. You wanna get it as close to top dead center as possible. These are going to line up, but the problem is, see how this one lines up perfectly with that one? This one here is off by just a smidge, but it's actually perfectly lined up for the most part. So if yours turns like that, just remember kind of where it goes when it goes back. We're probably gonna mark a tooth on our cam chain and our cams too, so that way we get an idea. You do not want to let this chain fall down. It's very important. If it comes off the crankshaft, you're gonna have a hell of a day. Make sure to have the right tools. It's also handy to have an extra set of hands, which Gary did not have last time. But anyway, so again, notice how this is perfectly lined up right here. Okay, and I'm off just a little bit right there. Now we haven't done anything. This is all from factory. So we're probably gonna put a couple marks on our cams too. Just, you know, double check in, make sure everything's good. Anyway, make sure this one is at top dead center, top dead center. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this off. You wanna loosen this one. You do not wanna take it all the way out. You wanna take this one all the way off. There's two washers, one here and one on the back side. So he's gonna go ahead and loosen up one real quick. We're not gonna take it all the way off on the top. We are gonna take the one on the bottom all the way out, but remember there's two washers, one on the back side, one on the front side. When you take that all the way out, you wanna make sure that you catch that washer on the back side. This is why we took the intake off, because if you don't take the intake off, it's a nightmare trying to get in there to get to these things. So notice real quick, he just basically loosened this one, got it out of the way. We took this one off. He kind of tightens this bolt up by hand just to keep it out of the way. That's what we're trying to do. We also loosened the oil thing, so we have a little bit more room. If you notice, there's two washers, one on the actual bolt side and one on the other side. All right, so what we got is we went ahead and made two marks on the cams. Probably not, we don't have to. We're gonna remove these two. If you notice, we've got tension on the chain. We just hooked a bungee cord up. We've got it up here. You want tension on this chain. You do not want this chain to fall down. Very important. This chain needs to stay tension. So want to make sure you do that. Now we're about to remove the tensioner. So what happens when you remove the tensioner, we've got it out. If you notice the chain release slack, okay? So that's what happens. That's why you need chain on that. Also, you want to make sure that whatever position you take these out are the position that they go. What we've done is Gary set up a board over there for us. We're going to set them out exactly the way they came out. So if you want to put on a piece of cardboard or whatever and draw it out, put it exactly the same way. It needs to go out the same way and go back in the same way it came out. That's very important. All right, so what we did is we loosened up all of these bolts. They're 8s. I would suggest using a 6-point, okay? Notice how we've got tension on the back side of this. We do not want this chain to fall. We've got tension holding this up so it does not come off the crankshaft, okay? You want to roll it out the way we did. Make sure to keep in tension on this chain right here. It's very important to keep tension on that chain. Okay, so we got all of our cams out. We got the chain with the tension on there. Also, if you're using these, we found out that the 8mm 6-point seem to work better on these bolts. You do not want to strip these bolts. They are torqued in, so take your time. We actually broke them free with a wrench first and then used an impact gun, not to break them all the way free, but just to back them back out. We did the first couple ones, but then we realized that we probably needed to do this by hand. Take your time, because you don't want to drop anything down in here. Anyway, so you can see where we're at right now. We got Gary over sweating.
One at a time.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull these things one at a time. So going to use a magnet. Also, we stuff these areas with paper towels. You don't want to lose anything down on your engine or it'll be a bad day. So what he does, he just uses a strong magnet, pulls it up, make sure everything's on there.
There's shim in the bottom.
Shim in the bottom. See it? Stuck in there. He's going to put it back over there. Front right. So remember, you want to make sure to line everything up the way you took it off. Everything has to go back in the same way. Again, magnet, shim. That's how it happens. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this and fast forward. Use the magnet, pull all of the caps off. Make sure to put them in the right order. So you want to put them out on a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard, and they want to go back in the same. We kind of assembled the tool. Remember, we still got our chain tightened up. You're gonna put your tool down on here. We're gonna tighten these little bolts up. We might have to move these a couple times. So that's pretty much where we're at with it right now. So put these little hands tight. You don't want to crank them down too much. And remember, we still have tension on the chain. Makes it a little easier, and we're about to start doing some of these retainers. All right, so it's already set on number 9. I don't know what tool you have, but number 9 is where we're set at. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but a buddy of ours sent this to us, so it's set on number 9 if you're using the Yamaha. All right, so what we're doing now is we got our little gauge right here. He's gonna fill it up to 80 PSI. Is where you want to be, 80 PSI, and we're gonna fire that through. It's gonna let that cylinder come up, and he's gonna press it down and get that little retainer out with a magnet. See that little bitty retainer right there? See that little bitty thing right there? That's what you're gonna suck out with a bit. All he did was press it down, grab it with a magnet. He's got another one. Grab it with a magnet. Don't lose it. And that's how we do this thing. So you press it down, get 2 of the keepers out, make sure not to drop anything. Pull the spring cap out. That's the retainer right there, and now we're about to put the real boys in. All right, so what Gary's doing now is he's putting a little bit of grease on the retainer, okay? So that way we can get those little keepers in there and they won't move around as much. So, you know, that's just how we're doing it. So, and that's the way the little keeper looks. Just like that.
Oh, let me hold the light.
All right, so I'm gonna hold the light for Gary. see the little retainers. So he's already got them put in there with a little bit of grease. So they kind of hold. This is the key part. You don't want to lose these bad boys. He's going to line up the tool. I'm going to push down that retainer, and he's going to walk those little clips inside there.
Sticking on it. This one's magnetized. Fuck, I can't use this one.
There he goes.
I need one that's something magnetized.
Alright. Alright, he's going in with the, he's got a straight one that's not magnetized. He just wants to make sure everything's good there. A little bit of grease on there, hold him in place.
They gotta be like flush with each other, and they gotta be down just a little bit. See that?
Yep. There you go. One done. Alright, so again, I know it's loud in here. We've got them almost done. We're coming down to the last final ones. What Gary does is he lines them up with grease, and then he sets them in there. You want to make sure that the bigger side is toward the top, and the concave side goes down toward the bottom. What we've been doing is, because we have an extra set of hands, we're pushing the tool down, exposing the rod, and then he's pushing his finger on top of it to keep the retainer, keep the little clips from popping up. I'll try to record it to give you guys an idea, but show you how we do it. And this is just what we're working with right now. So he's gonna line me up. Ready? Oh. Down or up?
Good up.
Huh?
Up.
We're on there. Just like that. Alright, so we got all the retainers done. Still got our chain nice and tight. Now we're going to work on getting these cams probably back in. Remember, everything goes back in the same way it came out. Also, we're going to talk to you about how to set up your chain tensioner, and we'll be back. All right, so when you put the cam back on, you want to make sure you line it up. Remember, these arrows point toward the front of the ski. This dot needs to line up with this mark here. We zip tied ours up just so we can mark the chain. We got it lined up, so that way we know where it's at. Remember, you're always keeping tension on this chain, always. Alright, so when you're tightening these down, just a quick note, you want to kind of walk them in a pattern. You don't want to just tighten down one side and tighten down the other side. What's going to happen is you're going to have pressure on some of these on some of these springs. So kind of put them hand tight as you can get them, and then you're going to find the ones that are tension, and you're going to slowly start walking them down. We did like a crisscross pattern. Just take your time on this. You don't want to use an impact gun. And then we're going to torque them down, and I'll give you the torque specs in just a little bit. Okay, so we got our cams lined up, everything lined up. This is off by a little bit, but what's going to happen, as soon as we roll this cam forward, it's going to tighten that chain up, and we should be good. We have everything snug right now. That cam is lined up. This one right here, this slack, as soon as we push this tensioner in, we're gonna release that slack. We're gonna show you how to set up the tensioner now too. So what you have to do is you have to push pressure on it, like he's doing. He's putting it in, it's like a piston on a brake. So you put pressure, squeeze it, and turn it at the same time. You keep on turning until it goes down. And then you take one of these little black clips and you're gonna roll it over and it locks it in place. Just like that. Okay. And what happens is once we get it in there, when you tap it, it's gonna snap back out. So that's how it works. Alright, so once you put the thing like we just did when we tightened up the little oil pump, the chain tensioner, what you want to do is you want to slowly put it in there. You want to put these down. It's easier when you have two hands. We kind of we move the cam forward a little bit, so we got tight area here, so we get a little bit of slack there. Once you get it in there, then what we did is we just took a little screwdriver, you just put it down in there and you just tap it. So it's like right there, you can see it. You just want to tap it and it'll pop out. So you don't have the chain, you don't stab the chain, you just want to tap, vibrate it a little bit. There's some little clip right there and you vibrate it and it'll pop out. So now we got tight area. Everything for right now is lined up. We got good marks. Everything looks good. So we're going to turn the engine over by hand. First I'm going to put the banjo bolt on for the tensioner, and then we're going to turn it over by hand. We're actually going to use a coupler. You can get down to the coupler down there to turn it over. So that's what we're going to do. Just roll it over and check, make sure everything's still lined up. All right, so what we're working on now is we're torquing down these bolts. We torqued them down to 100 foot-pounds at first, 100 inch-pounds. Now we're about to torque them down to 142 inch-pounds. So you guys figure it out on the what you got to do, 142 inch-pounds. We just kind of crossed them on each one. We started from the backwards forward. It might be another way in the book. That's how we did it. It's 142 inch-pounds. We've got our banjo bolt on there, and it's going to be 142 inch-pounds. All right, everybody. So we've got everything torqued back down. Everything's lining up. We were able to turn over the engine. We did it by hand down there. We got the engine turned over, and everything is still lined back up. We checked all of our marks. We actually checked our clearances. I believe it's 5 on the intake side and 10 on the exhaust side. We did 5 on the intake side, 10 on the exhaust side. Just make sure you put everything back the way you took it out. You should be good. But everything lines up, so congratulations. We don't have any responsibility if you mess up your ski. Make sure that all of your timing lines up. Make sure that chain doesn't move. And that's it. Good luck. Ride safe, ride loud. We're about to put this thing back together. I'm not going to show you how to put it together. So put it together the same way you took it apart. You guys know that we're not professionals, but we do this a lot. So I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. Remember, take your time, take it apart, put it back together the exact same way you took it apart. Ride safe, ride loud. If you guys are interested in any type of speaker brackets or anything like that, you know I got you. Check out my website at pwcbrackets.com. Thanks again.